Jai Mishabam Sabadara Jigzarastu Desadasi Simad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Mishabam Sabadara Jigzarastu Desadasi Simad Bhakti Siddhanta Sasi Thakur Prabhupada Ki Go Premanandi. We're speaking on a verse that's both in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita and Srimad Bhagavatam. Because the theme of this wonderful gathering is the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya, we'll read the verse from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda Jai Advaita Chandra Jai Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda Jai Advaita Chandra Jai Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda Jai Advaita Chandra Jai Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. We are reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, Chapter 9, The Desire Tree of Devotional Service, Text 46. All right, I'll just have to read the verse because the wrong verse was put on the board. Aho Esham Varam Janma Sarva Pran Upajivanam Sujanasyeva Yesham Vai Vimukha Yanti Nartanaha. Aho, oh, just see, Esham, of these trees, Vadam, superior, Janma, birth, Sarva, all, Prani, living entities, Upajivanam, one who provides maintenance, Sujanasya Iva, like the great personalities, Yesham, from whose, Vai, certainly, Vimukha, disappointed, Yanti, goes away, Na, never, Artina, one who is asking for something. Translation. Just see how these trees are maintaining every living entity. Their birth is successful. Their behavior is just like that of a great personality. For anyone who asks anything from a tree never goes away disappointed. Purport. According to Vedic civilization, Kshatriyas are considered to be great personalities because if anyone goes to a Kshatriya king to ask for charity, the king will never refuse. The trees are compared to those noble Kshatriyas because everyone derives all kinds of benefits from them. Some people take fruit, others take flowers, others take leaves, others take twigs, and others even cut the tree, and yet the tree gives to everyone without hesitation. Unnecessarily cutting trees without consideration is another example of human debauchery. The paper industry cuts many hundreds and thousands of trees for its mills, and with the paper, so much rubbish literature is published for the whimsical satisfaction of human society. Unfortunately, although these industrialists are now happy in this life, by dint of their industrial development, they do not know that they will incur the responsibility for killing these living entities who are in the form of trees. This verse, quoted from Srimad Bhagavatam, was spoken by Lord Krishna to his friends when he was taking rest underneath a tree, after his pastime of stealing the clothes of the gopis, Vastra Harana Leela. By quoting this verse, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu teaches us that we should be tolerant like trees and also beneficial like trees, which give everything to the needy persons who come underneath them. A needy person may derive many advantages from trees and also from many animals. But in modern civilization, people have become so ungrateful that they exploit the trees and animals and kill them. These are some of the sinful activities of modern civilization. Om Gana Timirandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshun Militang Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. It's appropriate that we recite a verse from Bhagavatam that's quoted in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Swami Bhagavan and Krishna is Swami Bhagavan. Often I explain, of course you all know this very well, that loosely we refer to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as an avatar, the golden avatar. But actually, he is Avatari. He's the source of all avatars. He's the original personality of Godhead that coexists with Krishna, Swayam Bhagavan, Swayam Rupa, the original personality of Godhead. And they both have their abodes at the topmost portion of the spiritual world, in Goloka Vrindavan. So I'm always fascinated by the interaction between Krishna and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as the combined form of Radha and Krishna. The context of the verse in Srimad Bhagavatam is that Shukadeva Goswami has just narrated the Varanahastra Leela, Krishna taking the clothes of the young girls of Vrindavan, and the acharyas describe that Krishna is wandering far away from Vrindavan. He's almost to Mathura. Therefore, Shukadeva Goswami refers to him as Devaki Nandana. Why is he wandering so close to Mathura? First, he went to Kamyavan and there got minerals to decorate himself. And then he went even further away, almost to Mathura, because he wanted to bestow mercy on the wives of the hard-hearted ritualistic brahmanas. And in that context, Krishna is going to refer to trees. He's going to point out to his cowherd boyfriends who are with him wandering. And Balaram is there also. Balaram wasn't there during the Varanahastra Leela. It was not appropriate. But now Balaram is with Krishna and the cowherd boys, and they're wandering. And although the Varanahastra Leela took place during the winter, because that was when the vows, the Katyayani Vrat, the gopis worshiping Katyayani to get Krishna as their husband, that took place in the winter. But it's now hot summer sun. How do we understand this? Krishna's Dham supplies everything at the perfect moment for his pleasure. Kavi Kanapur describes that there are forests in Braj that each presents a particular season. And then there are forests in Braj that present all the seasons combined. So it's all going on at once for Krishna's pleasure. So in his wanderings with the cowherd boys, the hot sun is bearing down. Not only is it lonely on the top of the ladder, because you see the ladder as just you and the ladder. You're climbing. Just climb. Focus. Don't lose your focus. Don't splay out your vision. Focus on each step. Rise on the corporate ladder. Rise on the business ladder. But when you get to the top, if you do, which many don't, because many fall off the ladder. But if you do get to the top, often you realize it's lonely up here. I have no real friends. I've sacrificed my family. I've sacrificed my personal relationships just to get to the top of the ladder. It's very precarious up here. I could fall off any moment. Someone can push me off. But even more than that, what else do you think? It's not very satisfying up here. But you can't back down. You can't go back down the ladder because everyone will think you're a failure. So you're kind of condemned to maintaining an existence that's not satisfying to you. Because for one who's been honored, dishonor is worse than death. For one who has made it to the top of the ladder, going down the ladder is worse than death. So you have these two metaphors for life. I try to explain to the students. Admit it or not, think about it or not, your life is based on an image you have in your mind's eye. And that's what's driving you onward. That's the story of your life. And if you can change the vision, the metaphor your life is based on, then you can actually change your life. But you first have to understand you're living according to someone else's story. You're having a vision that someone else gave you. You've imbibed it. You've taken it on board. Now, let us look at the metaphor of Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. He's presenting Mahaprabhu as the Kalpataru, the desire tree of devotional service. The seed for that tree started with Madhavendra Puri, grew further with the disciple of Madhavendra Puri, Ishwar Puri, who's the spiritual master of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then that seed became a tree in the form of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu first received from Madhavendra Puri that seed. Of course, Mahaprabhu is eternal, as we heard yesterday. But in explaining things, we have to use the context of time. First this happened, then that happened. In the spiritual world, there's no influence of time. From Madhavendra Puri came the ecstatic realizations of separation from Krishna. And then through Ishwar Puri, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu received and then demonstrated ecstatic feelings of separation from Krishna never seen before. The pinnacle of experience with Krishna as felt by Srimati Radharani. A question was asked to Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, a detail. Where did Madhavendra Puri get this from, since we say that he's the first to manifest this? So where did he get it from? Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur replied, just like in the case of Lord Brahma, Tene Brahmahrida, the realization is eternal and was impregnated into the heart of Madhavendra Puri. In any case, the seed sprouted into the tree of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And that tree first appeared in Navadvip, and then that tree moved to Jagannath Puri and to Vrindavan. Now, in this chapter, the Bhakti Kalpataru, the desire tree of devotional service, there's something very interesting. Mahaprabhu, as presented in this allegory, he's the tree, but he's also the gardener. And he's also the distributor and enjoyer of the fruits of the tree. So you're getting all angles of Mahaprabhu's divine presence. It's a beautiful chapter. You can read it again and again, and you get such loving insight into Lord Chaitanya, his mercy, and his mission. The tree has 9 roots. Those 9 roots are the main sannyasi associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Paramananda Puri is the main of those 9 roots. And then from the roots, you have the trunk of the tree itself. That is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And that trunk then grows into 2 main limbs, Nityananda Prabhu and Advaita Acharya. And then from those 2 main limbs, coming from the trunk, Mahaprabhu, those 2 main limbs develop into so many branches and sub-branches that cover the whole universe. Because Lord Chaitanya's Sankirtan movement is a universal affair. It doesn't involve simply planet Earth. During Mahaprabhu's tour of South India, demigods and other residents of various planets came to see him disguised as human beings, and then they went back to their planet. And in that way, the Sankirtan movement spread all over the universe. Even Lord Shiva, Parvati visited Mahaprabhu incognito. So Kaviraj Goswami presents the branches and sub-branches of the tree covering the whole universe. If we see ourselves as trees following in the footsteps of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, our life's mission becomes clear. Lord Chaitanya is addressing the tree with all its branches and sub-branches. He's describing the fruits of the tree, what happens when the fruits are distributed, how the fruits taste, how there's so many fruits coming from the tree. He's saying, I can't distribute all these fruits alone. So Srila Prabhupada very beautifully points out that this shows that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is calling for a Sankirtan movement based on combined forces, the combination of many servitors. Because Mahaprabhu, he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. He says, I can't do this alone. Well, what to speak of us? Very beautiful allegory. Lord Chaitanya, addressing the tree, says that although I am acting as a gardener, I also want to be the tree, for thus I can bestow benefit upon all. We can follow in those footsteps according to our measure. We don't want our human form of life to be a race or a ladder climbing. Here we have the most beautiful vision to base our life on. Ahoe sham varam janma. Just see the superior birth of trees. Instead of thinking simply that trees are suffering, which they are, we also get another angle that can have so much benefit for our life. The trees are giving everything. They give their bark. They give their sap. They give their fragrance. They give their wood. When they're burned, they give their ashes, which can be used for so many purposes. They give shade. They give their leaves. They give fruit. Not only are they giving, but they're also tolerating. While giving, they're tolerating and they're also giving protection. So therefore, Krishna points out, their behavior is just like that of great personalities. For anyone who asks anything from a tree never goes away disappointed. Oh, how wonderful it can be if we would make our life in this way. Whoever comes to us never goes away disappointed. Only a follower of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu can aspire for such welfare work. Materially, you can't satisfy anyone. Materially, you cannot benefit anyone in the utmost way. There's always something lacking because we are not material. So by material benefits, how can you actually show love and care? You can only do so partially and externally. We want to be like the tree in that we can actually give mercy and benefit to all. Therefore, vancha kalpatubhyascha, kripa sindhubhyevacha, patitanam pavanebhyo, vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. In Krishna's pastimes, and also quoted in Chaitanya Charitamrita, you find the verse, pranayar artayar diya vacha. Every living entity should use his or her life to benefit others. You can do it with prana, with your life's energy. Arta, you can do it with your wealth. Diya, you can do it with your intelligence. Doing it with your intelligence means always making plans how to benefit others. Vacha, you can do it with your words. Doing it with your words means giving directions to people that will benefit them. Pranayar artayar diya vacha. By hearing these passages from Srimad Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita, you can get a completely different vision of your life. You can take back your life from the materialistic visions that have been implanted in us. You have to compete. You have to get ahead. In Melbourne, Australia, where many young overseas students from India are becoming Krishna Bhaktas, they come to Australia to study at various universities there. The last thing they're thinking about is finding Krishna. They're there to find fame and fortune. You know, in many cases, the parents back in India have taken out big loans and sacrificed so much, and then the ultimate is achieved. Their son, and now even, of course, daughters, they can go abroad and go to university, study, and automatically get the topmost jobs and automatically rise to the topmost level. That's what the parents think. But, So there was one young man from Delhi. And he came to study in Australia. Of course, these students are doing other things besides studying, but they never tell their parents that. But he became a Krishna Bhakta. And then his parents back in Delhi heard about this. So the father immediately dispatched the mother, his wife, over to Australia. Please investigate what's going on. We don't mind our boy going to the mandir on Janmashtami. That is sufficient. It's like in the Christian world, they have an expression for Christians who just appeared during the topmost Christian celebration days. They call them ENC Christians, ENC Christians, Easter and Christmas Christians. So similarly, we have our GP and J Bhaktas, Gaur Purnima and Janmashtami. Sometimes just J, just Janmashtami. So his parents were saying, we don't mind his occasional trip to the mandir. It's good for morality, keeping you focused on living a good life of making money, being a success, being a good family man. But a couple of trips to the mandir a year is sufficient. But now we hear he's chanting japa. So their fear, which I've heard many times, the fear is as soon as your lips touch the holy name, he becomes a brahmachari. It's an automatic effect. If he's chanting japa, he's a brahmachari, he's doomed. The family is doomed. So the father sent over his wife to investigate. And his wife happily took up the mission because she knew that in Melbourne, Australia, there's a very fancy casino. Later, she told me that she always prided herself on never taking money from the husband. She would get all her money from card games and gambling. Anyway, very cultured family. So, so the mother comes flying over, and while going to the casino, she's checking out her son. What is this that you're doing? And then she becomes attracted. And then she starts to chant Hare Krishna, and she becomes a full devotee. So the father, he's back in Delhi. He's wondering, what's going on here? First my son, now my wife. I must fly over and investigate. So he flew over, and I happened to be there then, and he wanted to talk to me. So the mother and her son were very nervous. They were hoping he's not going to be disrespectful. So he began to explain to me. Swamiji, I'm a liberal man. I appreciate living the religious life, but the main thing is the corporate career. And another thing is, I don't think we should be fanatical like the Muslims. This thing about tea drinking is not, why the ban on tea drinking? We should be broad-minded and include tea drinking, things like that. But most importantly, Swamiji, the corporate climb of my boy. And he would tell me again and again, gesturing with his hand, my boy must rise on the corporate ladder. He must. Meanwhile, the young man and his mother, they were looking very embarrassed because they were sitting there while the father was questioning me. Tell me this, Swamiji. If, when my boy is 60 years old, he's still at the same level of the corporation that he is now, you know he won't be satisfied, right? You know that. The boy and his mother, they were, But the father was adamant. He must rise on the corporate ladder. That is life, Swamiji. Rising on the ladder. So I had to undergo about a half hour of this. I was thinking of the example of the tree, how the tree is tolerant and gives shelter to all. So it turned out that by being there with his wife and son who were practicing bhaktas, then the man became a bhakta too. He gave up the metaphor that he was attached to about the ladder. And now he's become a Bhakti Kalpataru. He's dedicated to giving everyone access to Lord Chaitanya's mercy. So again, you see how the vision that we have of our life, whether we're conscious of it or not, is very important. It's what's shaping us. And many times, we're not conscious of it because we've taken on board so many stories, so many programmings that have been implanted in us by society, by family, by friends, by the media. So therefore, it's very refreshing to take Lord Chaitanya's metaphor for our life. Be the tree that benefits everyone. Although I'm acting as a gardener, I also want to be the tree, for thus I can bestow benefit upon all. This is Vaishnava. What is it that we can give that will disappoint no one? That can only be the spiritual gift, the Bhakti Lata, the creeper of devotion. Bhakti Lata Bija, the seed of the creeper of devotion. That is how to love. That is how to care. In this way, the Krishna Bhakta, the follower of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is the true friend, the true lover of all living entities, not simply humanity. Srila Prabhupada's vision for Gita Nagari was that it would demonstrate how humans, animals, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead all act together in harmony for the benefit of all. So you've heard in the purport how he points out about the unnecessary cutting of trees, the slaughtering of animals. A needy person may derive many advantages from trees and also from many animals. But in modern civilization, people have become so ungrateful that they exploit the trees and animals and kill them. These are some of the sinful activities of modern civilization. We spoke a bit yesterday about gratitude. It's a basic human emotion. So the Vaishnava, because he sees all living entities as part of the Supreme, feels gratitude even to the trees, even to the animals, what to speak of to the cow, the mother. So let us take this metaphor given by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. And in that metaphor, Lord Chaitanya is speaking to the tree, the Bhakti Kalpataru. I don't simply want to be the gardener. I don't simply want to be the one who is watering the tree. I want to be the tree itself because then I can benefit everyone. He also says, not only do I want to be the tree itself, besides being the gardener, but I also want to be the distributor of the fruits. So later tonight we'll talk about the taste of those fruits. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Any questions? Yes.
Thank you. 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 Krishna. Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for a very inspiring class. And I have this question about when you mentioned about giving like a tree. I mean, when we try to preach Krishna consciousness, I find there are two challenges to that process. One is, although technically I'm trying to give, but actually there is also some subtle taking that's also involved. Like I try to get someone to be a devotee, get someone to take something from us, and so there's a kind of a thing going on that some success in our endeavor is expected. So in that way, there is some subtle taking. If I get out so many books, or if I get so many devotees to join or something, then that's like there's an expectation. So that there's a taking involved. So how do I get rid of that mentality? And the second challenge I feel I face is also because the people whom we approach, they think their needs are different than what we think their need is. So to make them understand that we are here to give you what you really need, which they are not really convinced of in the beginning, that they really need what we want to give. So they see us as takers also. So how do we overcome this challenge?
As we're engaging in the activity of giving the highest benefit to others, we always remember that the mercy is coming from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu through Parampara. We don't want to take pride in ourselves, although we're giving the highest thing. Although we're giving the highest, we never think we're the highest. We think we're the lowest, yet we're giving the highest. So we don't mistake our giving the highest for meaning that we are the highest. We are not the best, but we are giving the best. And we have received the best from the best. To be a servant of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu through Parampara is no ordinary thing. And so we're always being mindful of the gifts that have been given to us through Parampara. We don't think we're great. And we want that all the glorification, all the credit goes to our predecessors. So this is yoga. The yoga of outreach means to keep yourself in the proper state of mind. I'm giving what doesn't belong to me. I've benefited so much by this gift that doesn't belong to me. I want you to also benefit. So it's a state of mind, a state of consciousness. It's yoga. Therefore, what does Krishna say at the end of the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita? Yoginam api sarvesham madgatena antaratmana shatavam bhajate yomam same yukta tamomata. Of all the yogis, the one who's always thinking of me is the highest. So this is thinking of Krishna, thinking of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I have no mercy of my own. That should be our focus. And then gradually all these other silly motivations will be burned away. We focus on the task at hand, which is to give. And always remembering, seeking to increase our memory that we're tiny instruments in the hands of Mahaprabhu. And gradually, that main motivation burns away all the material motivations. But the mission has to go on. You can't say, well, I cannot distribute, I cannot do outreach because sometimes I think that I'm the doer. No, go on. And by doing the service, especially by doing the service and seeking a better state of consciousness, you'll become purified. This is the way of purification. And, of course, you're speaking in humility. Any Vaishnav thinks, I'm not qualified, I have no abilities. And the more one becomes qualified, the more one thinks like that. At the beginning of this chapter, the Bhakti Kalpataru, desire tree of devotional service, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, even a dog can swim across the ocean. In other words, even I can write Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. He actually thinks of himself in that way. Generally, a dog tries to swim. You can see sometimes that in Puri, I have seen dogs go into the water, the ocean water. They swim a few yards, and then they come back to the shore. So how is this dog going to swim across the whole ocean? Similarly, Kaviraj Goswami is saying, how can I write Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita? But by the unlimited mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and my predecessors, it's possible. Yes.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. I have a similar question. So for those of us who spend most of our day working, and I'm, in a situation, I'm in healthcare, it's not like I can preach directly. So what can I provide, I do service at the temple, but also my 10 hours or 8 hours a day that I'm not doing service and, in my field of work, what am I providing as that tree? Like, what can I provide for Lord Chaitanya's Prabhu's mission?
Every ashram has its different style of distributing the mercy. Household life means you have to take care of the home. Household, you have to hold the house. House means other persons too. So that's the style. You keep your desire to give Lord Chaitanya's mercy to others as your central desire, and everything else rotates around that. But you can't neglect those other things. But what is your burning desire? How to give the greatest gift to everyone? First, you have to give it to yourself. We'll talk about that tonight. Lord Chaitanya says in this chapter, he's tasting the fruits and becoming mad with ecstasy and distributing the fruits. So first you have to eat and taste and then distribute to others. So simply by having that desire, that's a great step forward. Just your desire is a great achievement. How am I going to do this? That's a yogi. How am I going to satisfy Krishna? Look at my situation. What can I do? That's thinking of Krishna. Don't consider it to be something insignificant. After many births and deaths, one has this attitude. I'm working, I have family. How can I satisfy Lord Chaitanya? This is a great achievement. This is yoga. And Krishna will gradually give you intelligence how to do more and more. Everything begins with desire. So congratulations because of your concerns. All right. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.